So Matt and I don't really have much of a formal presentation. We just wanted to share a couple of ideas, things that we've learned the hard way, things that we have found to be helpful. And we're also going to have Ray come up and talk about an antenna that he has stumbled upon and worked on and refined and fine-tuned for portable use, which is a lights-out antenna. So that's what we got going on up here tonight. One of the things that Matt and I keep going back to is preparation, and what happens before we even leave the shack or leave the house. And so much of what we do is come on in, Matt.
Oh, okay.
So much of what we do is determined by our preparation. And when you're getting ready to head out, what are some of the things you like to make sure you're keeping an eye on?
Well, I like to look at obviously the weather. I look at where I'm going to go. I'm at the point in, say, typically portable operating for me is parks on the air. I do get out just for the fun of it, like when I'm camping, but for usually parks on the air, it's like, okay, where am I going to go? What do I want to try and achieve? Am I going after, some more numbers, bumping up the parks activated, those kind of things. And so I'll look at my stats on the POTA site, and then it's like, oh, there's a couple of ones that are easy to do. They're not too far out of town. We're really in a hotbed of a lot of good places that are easy to get to for activations for parks on the air, or if you a little more physically inclined, summits on the air. A lot of good spots here. And so it's like, take a look at the park. What's it look like? Looking at Google Earth, a satellite view, maps, get on the park's website, research the thing, and start figuring out what it is, how I'm going to approach this thing, in the sense that, you go out to Lake Mead and, there's lots of places to go, but I tend to like going to the 33 hole. They got gazebos there, there's a bathroom there, it's easy to get to, paved road all the way. Got a nice view when you get there, sit there, do your radio operation, and it's an enjoyable day. So I kind of look at where I'm going to go, how I'm going to approach it, and go from there.
What do you like to do to shake down your gear to make sure that everything's going to be ship-shape?
Well, I use my stuff a lot, my radio gear a lot, so usually when it gets packed up, I know it's ready to go, other than maybe put the battery on charge. Mm-hmm. But if something does come up, I'll make a note of it. And but sometimes, I unpack it just to kind of go through it, make sure my cables are in order, ends aren't coming off the coaxes, all the things that a lot of you do anyway. When you're messing around your home station, fussing with things. But just kind of make sure stuff's serviceable, ready to go, and you get out there. There's no surprises. And put up your radio gear and get on the air.
All righty. You like to keep things simple also.
Oh yeah, yep. Good example is that day pack. I could take that right now and go out and do parks on the air on 10 through 80 meters and get my 15, 20 contacts, no problem.
All righty.
Got my water, I got a lunch in there. One thing I don't have is any brandy or glass of wine or anything.
Yeah, maybe next time, huh?
Yeah.
Ray, you want to come on up and give us a little bit of an overview of this antenna? When we talk about keeping things simple, a lot of us, myself included, fall into a trap of elaborate antennas that have way too many radials and too much stuff going on. And Ray, give us a little bit of a breakdown on this antenna here.
Well, this is a thing called the POTA PERformer. I don't know if you've gone. Keep talking. If you go on the internet and you search out antennas for POTA and that kind of thing, you'll find a thing called the POTA PERformer. A fellow named Greg Mirren in California came up with this thing. He's an electrical engineer. He says he has over 80,000 QSOs, so that's more than probably all of us almost in this room. Anyway, he wanted something that he could take out, go to a park, go out to the beach, go wherever, set up quickly and have something that worked pretty well. And what he came up with is essentially this thing. I'm using, my big antenna didn't get here, so I had to kind of modify it with some other parts, but essentially it's a telescopic antenna, and then it has only 2 tuned radials. I've got them both put together here, but if you want to do omnidirectional, you set one out this way, one 180 that way. If you want to do directional, you put them at 90 degrees and point it where you want it, your signal to be stronger. Here's kind of a little thing. My printer didn't print too good, but it's kind of, you can pass it around. It's kind of how the power works if you set them 180 or at 90. The neat thing about the radials is they're tuned radials for the middle of the band, and you put them together, all put them together. So in this particular case, we start with 6, 10, 12, 15, 17, and 20. Now, if you want to work on, say, 10, like what I got set up for, you've got a 4-inch little insulator you put in the middle here. And these are just spade connectors that hook together. So if I want to switch bands and say I want to do 20, I take these out, plug these back together, and just not worry about it, because it's set for 20. Or if I want to, say I want to do 15, I come down to where the 15 is, I put it between 15 and 17 and hook them all together. That way I don't have to change where my stakes are at. I put them in one time, and they're done. So it's real quick to change bands. You just adjust the height of your antenna, and you've gone through before you go out, so you can put some marks on it and find out where you want to be is. So it's real quick, boom, boom, change your radio around, and away you go. He says actually, and he's got a ton of information on it that you can read. I might come back if I'm invited to talk about the position of vertical antennas. He has found out, along with about 5 other guys that are electrical engineers through like about the last 40 years or so, that a vertical antenna at 4 feet, 5 feet in the air with raised 2 minimum, 2 is good, 3 is a little better maybe, no more than 3 feet at the end is screaming good. You don't have to have your thing 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet in the air. I played with this thing pretty much the way it is right now on Sunday night on the net, just on 10 meters. And I had my tuned radials pointing away from everybody. Some were coming in really good. You. Paul, I could not hear him at all because I'm kind of in a null with his mag loop. But then I turned them back facing Paul, and I went up to S2 just by moving the radials. This guy is sitting in my backyard at this elevation right here. And I've got, you know, the chicken wire house like everybody has with the stucco, the fence, the rock wall that has all the rebar in it. Where I really wanted to put it was right in the middle of the swimming pool, but my wife said, no, can't do that. But anyway, that's this thing. It's on the internet. I've got a bunch of information, so if anybody's got questions, you can talk to me and whatnot. So didn't want to steal the show, guys.
Why not?
Yep.
Why not?
We're retired.
Hand off the mic.
When we talk about keeping it simple, you know, all of us say, yeah, I've heard that before. I know, keep it simple. But you know, when you're going out there and you're in the field, and you know, you got a lot of different stuff going on, the fewer moving pieces that you have, the less stuff you have to worry about, the happier you're going to be. So whatever you can do with your planning and your preparation to keep things simple for when you head out there, you're going to be happy when you're out on the site. Matt touched on looking at Google Earth and studying where you're going to go from every possible angle. Couple of minutes extra on homework and due diligence with Google Earth or whatever mapping tools that you use well worthwhile. You know, it's, you might see something that appeals to you and looks good, and when you get there, it is not quite what you expected. I ran into a situation like that on a POTA activation up in Utah when I did not spend enough time preparing. I looked at Google Earth and I saw what appeared to be this beautiful circular concrete platform. And I said, oh baby, this is great. Set up here and nothing around, no trees, no obstructions. And then I get there and yeah, it's a big old water tank. So spend a little bit of extra time doing what you can to figure out where you're going to be, your access. If you're hauling stuff from a vehicle, how far is it going to be? If you're going to take the vehicle to the site and operate from the vehicle, make sure you can get in and out okay. Any other thoughts on
Yeah, I'll add on to that there. And just kind of preliminary thing, we talk about portable, and I'm trying not to fall into a trap talking to you, but predominantly for me, portable operation tends to be parks on the air. But that's not the case. Times I'll go out to Lone Mountain Park, pack a lunch, bring my radio, just set it up there at the park and just get on the radio. It's anything, it doesn't have to be, I tend to favor parks on the air, but don't let that influence you. Anything, just get out of the house. But what he's talking about there, research. I don't remember the name of the park, the one that's up there in Moapa Valley. And I went to do an activation on that. I'd been over there in the Arrow Canyon Wilderness a week or two before, and I came on by that park and just kind of gave it a quick scoping out, and it's like, yeah, this isn't bad, but it wasn't really my style insofar as being down there in the meat and potatoes of the park where the picnic tables were and the bathrooms and stuff. And it's like, luckily I've got a Jeep, a four-door Wrangler, and it's like, I'll use that to my advantage. Get on Google Earth, get on my Gaia app, and I look at it. I can go down about a mile, come in on another road, up about a half a mile of dirt road, and I can just squeak onto the boundary line for that park, and I'm out in the middle of the desert. There's no one around me, and it's like set up my stuff, got on the air, and I'm wide open. There's no trees around, nothing. And so, but I looked at that, and I think I even set up a track on Google Earth, loaded that into my GPS. So when I turn off the pavement, I'm following a line going in through the desert. Boom, got to my point right there, looked at my app. Yep, I just squeaked in the boundary. I'm good to go. Did my contacts, maybe I don't know what I did, 20, 25. But when I got done, I just backtrack off my line on the GPS and back to the pavement and home in time for happy hour. So it's like I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and it fit the bill for the activation, and I didn't have to go down there in amongst the trees and the picnic tables and the kids playing with the dog and stuff, So that's the kind of stuff, it's nice to know, but you need to get on computer, maps, whatever, and get it figured out where you're going so you don't get lost out there, take a wrong road, and you're off going somewhere. Some of you might laugh. I've seen people out there literally had to go out and help them because they've got lost out in the desert. I helped one guy, I went out with him twice because he lost his motorcycle out there in the damn desert. He didn't know where he was at, and he ended up having to leave the thing because it ran out of gas, hiked out of the thing to get over there to North Shore Drive there on Lake Mead, thumbed a ride back home. It's no joke, it's like the desert will kill you if you let it, but it's usually, some common sense, a little bit of preparation. It's a lot of fun out there too, so.
One other thing you can keep an eye out for when you're doing your preparation and looking at maps or using Google Earth or whatever, power lines. They have a tendency to show up where you least expect them sometimes, so keep an eye out for that so you can steer clear of any power line problems. We all know that the weather here can change very, very quickly, particularly when we're up in the mountains. And it's always a good idea to make sure that you're prepared for rapid, unexpected changes. Keep an eye on the sky in the summertime. The summer thunderstorms can build up quickly, move in quickly, catch you off guard. So don't rivet your attention on the radio all the time, or admire what's happening on the waterfall, or become absorbed with your logging software, whatever it might be. Keep an eye on the sky and know what's going on when you're there, and also what's going on with the weather before you take off.
Yeah, I know, I'm sure everyone's got one of these. I have the Weather Channel app on my phone, and I've also got Weather Bug app on my phone. And I'll be looking at the weather, you know, a week in advance I'll be looking, but it doesn't do a lot of good because it changes so much, and these things aren't that accurate. But you can bet I look at it the night before, and then when I get up in the morning, drink my coffee, you know, have a little bite to eat before I hit the road, I'm looking at it again. Yeah, the temperatures are still holding, but what I really look at is what's the wind doing. And I want to know, it's like the wind's going to be coming out of the southwest at 10 to 15, 25-mile-an-hour gusts. When I get out there, wherever I'm going to, it's like, okay, the wind's coming from over there. I'm going to position my Jeep this way so the Jeep faces the wind. I can be around the back with the tailgate open, my radio gear in the back, I'm out of the wind. And, you know, things like that. I really look at that to where I set up my sight, so to say, when I'm out there and going to start doing active, you know, radio work. You know, so really look at that. It comes in handy, you know, so, and there's so much information out there, you might as well use it.
Wind is a great point, and as best you can, know the threshold of your antenna. If you're setting up an antenna, and you know, you'll know from, you know, playing with it in the backyard, whatever, that, you know, hey, I just don't want to be messing with this if we're going to have 40-mile-an-hour gusts. So, you know, just keep that in mind. The internet, always nice to have, but you're not always going to have it. And if you don't have it, make sure that you're prepared for that. Sometimes it's a little bit shaky, and you know, connections kick in and out. You really don't know what it's going to be, but don't bank on it.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to the KISS principle. You know, some of you guys out there are really tech savvy with computers and the, you know, the Starlink satellites and hotspots off your phone. But for me, it's keep it simple. And it's like I get out there and I work off of a tablet, a paper, and a pencil, and I keep it simple. When I get home, then I pull out the laptop, do all my logging, send in my logs for parks on the air, whatever, and you know, work it that way. But you know, I mean, you're the one doing your own portable work, so to say. If you want to drag out, you know, all that other stuff, and that's what you like to do, that's your business, you know. But I tend to kind of go the other way. I just like it very simple. Tablet of paper, a pencil, boom, write it all down as I'm doing my activation. When I get home, then I'll transfer it over and leave the laptop and all that at home. So,
plenty of water, more water than you expect to drink.
Yeah.
And plenty of snacks.
Yep. Yeah, and then don't forget, it's like, you know, when you get out there, you're just, you know, whether you're out there camping or something, or a picnic for the day, yeah, bring some stuff along, bring a little extra, because you never know when you're going to get a flat tire. If you're just out there someplace simple like Lone Mountain Park, you know, or Majestic Park, it's not that big a deal. You know, a little extra water and a couple snacks in case, you know, you get to yakking with someone. If you go way out there, though, you're 50 miles off the pavement, it's like, yeah, bring another day's worth of food, you know, a couple gallons of water. You never know when your vehicle's going to break down, and you're, you know, working off of satellite communications to get, you know, something to the wife or some friend that can come and get you before you die out there, you know. But it's like, put some thought into what you're going to do and prep accordingly with the supplies you bring, because you never know what's going to happen.
Take along a first aid kit. Make sure you have plenty of sun protection. Shade is your friend, not only for you, but for your gear. Anything that you can do, you know, with an umbrella or a tarp or anything at all you can do to get a little bit of shade going on when you're out operating portable's a good thing.
Yeah, an umbrella is a lifesaver. I've rode a lot of dual sport bikes out here in the desert, and I always had an umbrella with me in the dual sport groups I was with. That was one of the things we impressed, you know. You don't need to bring a little parasol with frills around the edges, but just a good standard issue umbrella. literally is a lifesaver. You know, Joshua trees don't have that much shade to them. You know, neither do creosote bushes. You know.
And before you head on out, make sure somebody knows where you're going to be. Let somebody, to the best of your ability, based on where you're planning on going, give your wife or your friend or somebody an indication as to exactly where you're going to be.
Yep, yep. I'm sure you go out there to Spring Mountain Ranch, you know, it's right there handy. I'm sure you let your wife know where you're going.
Yeah.
You know, and I let my wife know if I'm just going up to Lone Mountain Park, or I'm going out to the 33 hole out at Lake Mead. That's kind of one I go to a lot just for an easy place to do. Or if I go out after someplace way out there, Delamar Valley, you know, halfway up to Caliente. And when I get to that kind of point, that I'm pulling out make a copy of a topo map, and I'll sit there and highlight the road I'm going. This is where I'm going to be. I'm going to do this, that, and the other, have my lunch, boom. I expect to be back by this time. If I'm not back, you know, 9, 10 o'clock at night, you better start calling search and rescue because something's happened to me. Call up some friends that can go out there and take a look, but she'll know exactly where I'm at, you know. So
I always start off before I put up an antenna, before I do anything at all. I check out my battery and I make sure that I can power up my radio. Nothing happens without power. It's always good to have a routine that you follow over and over and over again, like pilots and aircraft. When the exact same things happen in the exact same order, you minimize the opportunities for screw-ups and failures. So I always fire up the old battery and make sure that I've got power in the radio first. Then I'll start to play around with the other stuff.
yep. And the one time I went out and hooked up with you when you was out at that Desert View overlook on was that Deer Creek Road. You know, that was what, 4 or 5 years ago, 5, 6 years ago. But in looking at the equipment you had then, and I followed your lead, so to say, and got that same battery, and I'm still using it. I even got that same 65-watt solar panel. I have other ones now too, but I'm still, when I go out, like I'm going out in the Jeep to go somewhere, I also have a Pelican box that I'll put stuff in. That's in case I got to hike up a half a mile up a desert wash. But I'll have that solar panel, 65-watt panel. I got that same, was that a 22,000, what is that thing, 2,000 ampere hour battery, a Bioenno battery, that and that solar panel. I can sit there and operate for quite a while off of that, you know, and so it really works good. And up there at field day, you know, if you happen to come on up there at field day, if you've been up there, you'll see a lot of guys running that same basic setup. Bioenno batteries in some kind of a plastic ammo can. They really work good. You know,
sure
they last a long time. You get you a solar panel paired up with that thing, you know, and you got a bulletproof power supply there.
So start off with the power. That should be the first thing that you mess with when you get up there. Know your gear. Matt is a big proponent of knowing as much as you can about your different pieces of gear.
Yeah, and I'll do, you know, I live on a horse property, so I'm sitting on a 1/6 of an acre. I can do what I want, you know, within reason, you know, but I don't have one of those HOA things that some of you guys whine about. You know, I don't have to deal with that. And I can put up antennas back there and mess with them, test them, whatever. And at times it's like, if I just need to go out there and try something new. My Wolf River coil antenna that I use, I've been using this thing for, God, 6 years now. And it has been the basis for so many different antennas. You know, the threads on this thing are 3/8 by 24. And so everything about it, I actually took this for the CQ 160 meter contest they had here at the end of February. And I reworked this thing and paired it up with a Hustler 80 meter resonator and came up with a 160 meter vertical antenna that I used for that contest that weekend. We had Tim came along and with his wife in a camp trailer, and we went down there to Kelso Dunes and had a good time. I wish could have stayed longer, but you know, it was a lot of fun. But that's a very handy thing, but it's like I get to doing stuff, changing things around out in the backyard, put it up, see what I can do, test, you know, and then they'll pack it all up and make sure it all goes back in the Pelican box, which is usually what I'm using if it's going in the Jeep or the truck, you know, if I'm camping, and put it all in. I know exactly how it's got to go, and whether or not, you know, I'm bringing that antenna. I have another setup of another antenna that I'll use depending on what vehicle. But you know, that Wolf River coil, it's always going. It's kind of like your American Express card. You know, you never leave home without it. You know, and so I always have that along as either primary or a backup.
So one of the things you might run into when you're practicing and you're setting up in the backyard with your antenna, you know, things might be going great, and you got this baby tuned up to a really sweet SWR, and you know exactly what you want to do, and then you head out and you have the exact same setup for your antenna, and the SWR is no longer so good. Well, keep in mind that, you know, our antennas are subject to the environments in which they operate, and we can do a lot to practice and prepare in advance, but at the end of the day, we could be thrown a wild card or two, particularly
how has
with
it
our
changed for
antennas.
you? Because you changed over from the Anderson vertical, and now you're using the
That buddy pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, does it take you very long to get into the swing of that? You have it out a lot, you know, whichever Spring Mountain Ranch or up there at Champion Road or wherever, using that thing before you really got comfortable with it?
Oh yeah, and it's still not 100% predictable in terms of where I want the settings. I have a little notebook with settings for it, and hey, it'll, you just don't know. Just keep in mind that, you know, the environment in which your antenna is operating is going to impact its performance.
Yeah.
So, you know, we talked about this. Try and get into the habit of doing things the exact same way each time. And you know, you working in aviation know this better than anybody else. It's
Yeah, and it's not to sound, you know, boring or anal, but you know, it's like when you get out there, that's the last, you know, when you're out there and you really had to drive an hour, you know, you went down to Mojave Preserve, there's at least an hour's drive to get to the border of that. That's not the time you want to find out that you forgot your, you know, coax cable, or, you know, some microphone to your radio or something. You know, you get down there and it's like, now what am I going to have to spend the day, you know, walking around old mines? Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Or you know, you say to your, well, I know I brought this, but where is it? And you're tearing through all this stuff, and if you pack the same way every time, and it's just very, very consistent, you're very confident when you go out, and you save a lot of time that would otherwise be wasted.
Question you got, Joe?
Make a checklist. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we're
Checklists
talking
are
about.
great.
I forgot a microphone once and remembered a code key, and both of us were exhausted from
Yeah.
that at the end of the day.
I've got a lot of checklists we use. Wife and I, we've got a camping checklist that goes back to when we was based in New Mexico back in the 80s, you know, and it's like we have so many different checklists for different things, whether I'm doing radio gear or, you know, radio stuff, we're going camping, we're traveling. We got a bunch of checklists we use, you know, and it really comes in handy. What you got, Kent?
Yeah, I have a domain, hamradiochecklist.com. There's a checklist tab that's kind of what you were just talking about, cleaning, cooking, radio gear. The front page is a little too elaborate.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people, it sounds really boring or stuffy, but when you use one and get used to it, you know, having what you need, it's like, not to get sidetracked, but, you know, wife and I go camping. We're going to go somewhere for three nights in the camp trailer. We actually have our packing stuff for the camp trailer, and then on the backside we'll have a menu checklist, and we lay out our whole meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, what food we're going to need for each one, and then we usually bring like an extra day's worth of meals, something, you know, to prep for. But it's like when you get there, it's like Thursday night, we're going to do pasta and zucchini squash or something, you know, we're going to do salmon, something, you know, and we know what we're going to have. We know the stuff is there because we brought it, and we go out there and we enjoy ourselves. And it's not like standing there 5 o'clock, you know, in the evening. It's like, well, what do you want to do for dinner? Oh, what you want to do? You know, that's not the time to figure it out. You know, so.
If you have a computer with you, if you're doing logging on a computer or, you know, checking POTA, the POTA app on a computer, you know, don't forget that it's bright out there, and figure out a way to shade the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to mention one thing that works for me is I've got all of my portable equipment separate from my base station in a big plastic box. So everything related to portable goes in that plastic box. It never gets stored anywhere else except in that plastic box. So when I grab that plastic box, go out, I got everything in one.
Yep, that's great. That's great. So that'll keep you safe. You're not going to miss anything. And you know, back to this computer screen thing. You know, figure out a way that you can shade the screen somehow. Otherwise, it's just going to drive you nuts when you're operating portable. You know, you get out there, and you know, maybe the wind is you know, a little bit more brisk than you expected, or maybe the band conditions are just wretched, or things just aren't all that good. And yeah, hey, we do this to have fun, so don't feel obligated to stay out there.
Yeah, and not that I'm a psychic, but I think there is a little bit of something to do with karma and a positive thinking. And when you get out there, there's sometimes you're getting set up, and it's like you're working harder than you should, you know, and it's just like you're not getting there. Your antenna doesn't want to tune up. Your battery is like, shoot, I forgot to charge the battery up, which you apparently didn't go off your checklist, but you know, something happened, you know, and you're like, it just isn't working. And it's like, maybe it's just pack it in, you know, whether or not you turn around and pack up and immediately head home, or go do a little hiking around and enjoy the scenery wherever you're at, you know, whether it's a park, out in the desert, out at the lake. Might as well walk around a little bit and enjoy the scenic vistas while you're out there, you know.
Or maybe when you're planning your outing, you have a backup location in case the first one is no good. But in any event, you know, there's no harm in moving on. And you know, by the same token, you know, it's always good to kind of stop when you're ahead. And if you know, you're having a great time and you're feeling good, and you know, physically your energy levels are good, and you know, you're not hungry, and everything's going well. Nothing wrong with you know, knocking it off when you know you could keep going and you could rack up some more QSOs if you wanted to. You know, don't stay at the party too long.
Yeah. There's a couple of times I'm really looking at for Parks on the Air activations, I look at trying to get 2 of them at one day, because all the easy stuff around the Las Vegas Valley I've done, and so I'm going out farther. And I'm at the point now to where it's like, okay, if I want to do an activation, it's a tank of gas. I want to do that activation over there, it's a tank of gas. So now I'm looking at, get out there, get going a little bit early. I can do Delamar Valley in the morning, boom, packed up gear, headed over. I got Meadow Valley Range Wilderness area in the afternoon. While I'm driving between the two, I'm eating my lunch, you know, as I'm driving down a dirt road. And then got the other one, got set up, got an activation, 20 contacts, boom, came out of there, Carp Elgin Road out to exit 100 on the 15, come on home. I had an 1.5-hour drive to get home, you know, and it's like, I wanted to get out of there. It's not that I hated the place, but it's like, okay, I'm done. It's time to get out of here. I don't like being out in the desert in just the Jeep by myself if I'm not camping. It's like, get done, Get on out of there, get home by happy hour, have a toddy, say hi to the wife, get my log submitted, eat dinner. Life is good.
So if there's something that you need to fix, a loose connection, and anything at all, little repair, or make a note to yourself so you remember it when you get home before you have too many toddies at happy hour.
And this goes off like what you're saying, when you're changing over from one antenna system to another antenna system, and you start leaving notes for yourself, as you're learning the thing. And that's good ideas, it's like, that's good stuff to do. I'm sure, we're not the only ones that do that, but it is a good idea as you start learning a new antenna system, especially one you're taking out there that's broke down, and then you go somewhere, you put it up, operate, break it down, boom, 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 and you're learning little quirks of it. And it's like, yep, leave yourself some notes. If something breaks, leave a note. You get home, get it fixed. That way it's all packed up, ready to go.
I'm one of those guys that does not use QRZ for logging. I use Logbook of the World and POTA, and every now and then I'll run into somebody and they'll say, hey, you're my first Nevada contact. Can you log me on QRZ? And if I don't write that down, I'm never going to remember this guy's call or whatever. So, have a little notebook or something where you can write stuff like that down so it doesn't fall through the cracks. And, at the end of the day, we're all here tonight because we enjoy this hobby. You guys who are just getting licensed now, it's sure great to have you here this evening. This is all about having fun. And when we're going out operating portable, we run into some serious challenges sometimes. And it can be tough, it can be daunting, probably not dangerous, but it's you're not sitting in the shack. It's a different world.
Yep. Yeah, and it is a lot of fun, and it's one of the things. I've been here since '93, and I'm originally from San Diego area, but it's like I've got no interest in going back to California, and it's just like I'm here in Vegas and the surrounding area. This is such a hotbed of outdoor activity. It's like, yeah, you got the Strip, you can go to a restaurant, you go see shows, but it's like we're near the Golden Triangle of Death Valley, Grand Canyon, up there, Arches, and it's just like, you're such a hotbed of getting outdoors and seeing, Mother Nature, history of the area, the Southwest. It's like, and then to have another reason to go out there to do an activation on parks, or just go out there for a picnic and take a radio along and see who else is out there, and get on the air and say, it's the reason why a lot of you guys got your license. It's to yak with people and to sit there. And one of the places I've been out there at Twin Points on the north rim of the canyon, you're kind of across and about 5 miles upstream from Grand Canyon West where that skywalk thing is, but it's like you're out there in the middle of nowhere, but you get on a radio and it's like all of a sudden you're talking to a guy in New York, because New York's got their QSO party going on, and you're like, this is cool. I'm sitting here on the Grand Canyon, having a beer in my hand, and the sun's going down, it's nice and colorful, and I'm yakking with a guy in New York State, and it's like, this is wild. And
the guy in New York State is thrilled because he's having a QSO with somebody out west.
Yeah, and it's like you can't beat it. My wife, she has no interest in getting a license, but sit there when we're out doing stuff like this, and she gets a kick out of some of these people I talk to, and you're like, you talk to this guy where? He was over in them islands off the coast of Africa. Wow, that's something, and you're like, it's a lot of fun.
Any questions, anything we didn't touch on or anything we should revisit?
Well, the thing I'd love to see is photos of all the different setups that he had and the equipment that he used, because,
Equipment?
it would help, it would help know exactly how you set up.
Yeah, Matt and I each use the same radio. We use a Yaesu FT891, and a lot of guys who operate portable use that radio. but some guys will take their 7300 out with them. It just all depends on your preference.
You got is there an extra USB port on that thing? I got a thumb drive with a few pictures on there.
Alrighty. Well,
So,
let's see what we can do.
Waste some more of the time and put off the treasurer's report. Is that fine?
All right.
I don't want to ruin your night.
Report's not going anywhere.
Other questions? Yeah.
You were talking about looking up the weather.
Yep.
Shameless plug for what I use for weather resources, an app called Windy. It is a fantastic source. You can use a free version, fantastic. It takes data from all different APIs, puts it into something that's...
Is this your stuff here?
Yeah.
I use it for work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's called Windy. It's specifically designed for what we talked about with the
Yeah.
wind speeds on the ground, up to the gusts, and then it'll tell you where all the storms are and everything.
Right. Yeah. Any information you can get, so when you get out there, you got enough to deal with. Not that it's difficult to get out wherever, whether you're going to Majestic Park for our antenna expo, but you want to bring stuff along, or but it's like the more information you can have, so you know what you're doing, the better off you're going to be. See what we get here. Hopefully this will work on this computer. There we go. There. This is actually the day I hooked up with Paul out on Deer Springs Road up there in between Kyle Canyon and Lee Canyon Road. This is like 5 years ago. And I went up there to see how Paul was doing, and he was already leaps and bounds, ahead on the POTA activation stuff. And this is him with the rig he had at the time. And I think you're still using about the same setup, aren't you?
Yep.
And so,
So you both use an antenna tuner with the 891?
I don't use an antenna tuner. I bring one along sometimes depending on what antenna I'm using, but I'm one that I will tune the antenna to resonant. I have a small antenna analyzer. I've got a rig stick about the size of a hot dog, and I bring that along. And so I'll tune it, get that down to where I need it, and normally I don't bother with antenna tuner.
I will bring a rig expert zoom with me.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I'd gone out there and spent the morning with Paul to get some tips from the master here, because he was already racking up numbers on the Parks on the Air site, and it was mind-boggling to me when someone comes back and they've got 200 contacts and they're out there for a couple hours. It's just something. So.
Do both of you run sideband only, or do you do it SC8?
I'm sideband only.
Yeah. Here, this is a good picture. This is my setup, but this is like 4 or 5 years ago. This is on the bank of the Colorado River down at Needles. And you can see there's my 891, my Bioinno battery, microphone, there's my tablet, and the Wolf River coil is out here. And that's it, and my water. Actually, it might be a whiskey and Coke in there, I don't know. But it's like, it doesn't get any better than that. When you're sitting out there watching the world go by and the water's going on by and you're making contacts with people, it's like, yeah, life is good. This is where it's really happening. Yeah. Not going to go anymore. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Anything else? Yeah.
I've got probably a stupid POTA question. I've never been an activator so far. I've just been a hunter.
Yeah.
So if you don't connect to the internet like you're talking about, you tell them from the home base where you plan to be and when.
Yeah. No, actually, I don't. Like spotting.
I never do that.
No. Okay.
I never do that in advance, because you don't know if the shit's going to hit the fan with the weather or something.
Okay.
So what I do is when I make a QSO, my first QSO, I'll ask the guy, hey, if you got a moment, would you be kind enough to spot me on the POTA app. And
Yeah.
I do it that way.
Okay. And now you've been spotted and you're in
Yeah.
the park. Yeah.
You'll really be surprised if you get out there and you start calling CQ for parks on the air. 1 or 2 contacts will come in, you know, and then it's like someone opens up the floodgate. One of these people you didn't even, sometimes they'll ask you, sometimes all of a sudden it's like, boom, you're getting flooded with calls. And then it's a real zoo, you know, but it's like, yeah, it's no sense spotting yourself. They'll do it for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, you better be ready. I got a few more pictures here, and then if this thing goes, this is one I just got off the internet. I don't know where this guy's at, but it's just like, to me, that's like the ultimate Steve McQueen cool radio setup there. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I would really like to get something like that set up and walk around out there in the middle of nowhere. And looks like that's going to be it.
All right. Any
All right,
other
never mind.
questions?
All right.
Yes, sir.
Old mines do you go in, and have you seen any really good ones, and are they still accessible?
Well, when I say go into an old mine, the farthest I go in is maybe about 50 feet. I'm not a mine explorer. Not that I wouldn't want to, but I'm usually on my own, and I want to get home for happy hour and dinner. But, you know, there's a lot of them out there that are still wide open. But it's like half the fun is there's a lot of stuff just on the outside apron of the mine, so to say, the mine dump, you know, and
A lot of them have been caged and gated, and people.
yeah, there's a lot of them that are gated.
Some of them have been vandalized for your convenience already.
Yep.
And most of them are still pretty.
There's a one down at the Mojave Preserve down by Ivanpah, and you got to hike back in there about a half a mile through a canyon. Got down there, and there's still an old hit and miss engine there, you know, Poppin' Johnny engine, still sitting there rotting away, you know, that they'd run the pump with. And there's other kinds, you know.
There's one in the Serpent Mountains with a huge flywheel and 2 cylinders, and one's an air compressor and the other's
Yeah.
power.
All right. Any other questions? Well, we sure appreciate your joining us this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And don't forget, you got some questions on this fabulous antenna. Ray can fill you in on its performance.
Hey, Paul, real quick, how many activations do you have?
Yeah.
5.
200.
No, you got more than that.
Well, I got 200 activations. Contacts, I got a lot more.
Okay.
How many contacts do you have? I'm gonna look it up here if you lie.
North of 10,000.
Name and call sign.
You are a god.
Paul, thank you both. Name and call sign.
Me?
Name and call sign.
I can't reveal that. Paul Talbot, K7RKO.
Okay.
Matt Krieger, K7XMD.
All right. Thank you.